want to talk about 3 danger signs of the narcissist. And many of us already know that narcissism means that you're self-absorbed, egotistical, and a lot of definitions of narcissism state that the person has no empathy. But those are very abstract things. Like, how do you apply that in a dating situation? So in this video, I'm going to talk about 3 things that you can look out for in a dating situation that probably means the person you are dating is a narcissist. So the first thing is entitlement. When you say you, for example, would rather meet at a coffee shop instead of going on a full date for the first meeting, and he gets angry or he gets irritated that you don't trust me, he says to you, or, oh, what do you think? I'm going to do something to you. That sense of entitlement is a big red flag. If he takes you out for dinner and he leans in to kiss you and you're not ready to kiss, and you pull away and you say, oh, I'm not ready for that yet, and he gets angry, he gets entitled, he says things like, I buy you dinner and I do all these things for you and you're not even willing to kiss me, that is a big red flag for narcissism. There are so many ways a man can act entitled, and there is a pretty big difference between a man who is naturally confident in moving forward with a date and leaning in to maybe kiss or moving the date forward or being a leader in the dating relationship. There's a difference between that healthy masculinity and a man being brave to state what he wants and entitlement. When a man acts entitled, he can actually be extremely dangerous on the narcissistic side, but this is where women get into trouble around getting forced to do things that they really don't want to do. So this kind of entitlement needs to be nipped in the bud immediately, and the man gets no further chances. You don't give a man who acts entitled like that another chance. So even when you're just messaging on a dating app and he acts entitled, even just messaging, run. Because a masculine, healthy, secure, confident man would never act entitled to a woman that he likes. Never. So any sign of entitlement, you run for the hills. Okay. The second one is arrogance. An arrogant man you've never met before is something to watch out for, because arrogance is not the same as the same healthy self-esteem that I talked about in the previous point. Arrogance is a man who thinks he's above everyone else. He may not be arrogant with you specifically, but he may talk poorly about his ex-wife. He may put other women down in general, like his sister or somebody he sees on the street, or he puts the waitstaff down or is really rude to the people behind the counter. These are all really big red flags. Again, arrogance is never part of a man's life who is embodied in his masculinity, who is secure in his own confidence. They would never come across arrogant like this. So number 3, grandiose self-importance. Now, what does that mean? How does that manifest? Well, I'm going to tell you a story. I once dated a man who did nothing but talk about himself. He would ask the odd question about me, but it was always a means to an end for him to talk about him. So he would say, what do you do for a living? And I would say, and then he would say something about him in context of that, and then pull it completely away from me and start talking about himself, and always talking about how amazing he is. Like, I have a coaching business. Oh, my ex-girlfriend was a coach and I helped her this and I gave her this and I invested in her company and my company is so big and I've done so many things with my company. And he would always somehow stepping stone, bit by bit, inch his way into talking about himself and his own accomplishment. Honestly, this man was master talented in this, to the point where I really I noticed it and it bothered me, but it took me 2 months of dating him to cut it off, because he was very charming in a lot of other ways. And narcissists often are. So be careful, beware, because narcissists are often very, 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 very charming and somehow can finagle their way into your life in a way that you didn't even realize it happened. So here is what he used to do. So not only did he, every conversation we had, every time we had dinner together, every interaction we had, he would make it about him. But we used to love doing fun things around town together. So we'd ride bike, or we'd go rollerblading together, or go for walks and hikes. And we did all kinds of fun things. And this one time, this is what finally did it for me. We did a long, long bike ride along the waterfront here in Toronto, Canada. And he let me go ahead because the bike path, you had to share the bike path. And so he was behind me for a 2.5-hour bike ride. It was a long bike ride. For a 2.5-hour bike ride, yelling to me on and on and on and on about his achievements, his accomplishments, how much money he made in this company, how well he did here, how cool he was there, how much people liked him here. And I was just like, no, this has got to end. He was like, I'm on my bike. Like there's wind, there's people coming by. I have my helmet on. He's behind me yelling to me all the stories for 2.5 hours about how amazing he is and how all of his achievements in the past, and some were repeat stories that I'd already heard in the 2 months that we were dating. After that date, I ended it. And so that was such a telltale sign, and even I fell for it. And I, at the time, was already a dating and relationship coach. So take this advice. Every time, let it be true. Don't give any man an exception who is entitled, who acts arrogant, and who has a grandiose sense of self-importance. Just don't date them. That's it. I will leave that there. Bye for now. See you in the next video.